And it's a brand new trading week, 10 a.m. right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you're watching from. It's Business Morning, coming to you live from Channels HQ right here in Lagos. Well, let's get the top stories that set your agenda for today now. We'll see oil prices edged up. Today's top exporters, Saudi Arabia and Russia, said they will stick to extra voluntary oil output cuts until the end of the year, keeping supply tight while investors watched out for tougher U.S. sanctions on Iranian oil. Brent crude futures that rose about 55 cents to $85.44 a barrel in early Asian trade, while U.S. WTI crude is trading at $81.14 a barrel, up 63 cents, about 0.78%. Both Brent and WTI contracts notched their second straight weekly falls last week, losing about 6% as geopolitical risk premium faded as U.S. diplomats met regional leaders to limit the risk of the Israel-Hamas war causing a wider conflict in the Middle East. And back here, the central bank governor, Olayemi Cardoso, says the Apex Bank, under his leadership, will concentrate mainly on the core mandate of attaining price stability. Mr. Cardoso stated this when he played host to the chairman and members of Impact Investing Community in his office in Abuja. The team was led by the 14th Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, who is also the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. During the meeting, Mr. Cardoso emphasized his resolve to change public perception about the bank and make it more impactful in the lives of Nigerians by reducing inflation. CBN governor assured the community that the bank would collaborate with them in putting in place frameworks that will encourage investments that will enhance people's livelihoods and contribute to economic growth. Commending the impact of a central bank on the lives of Nigerians, Alhaji Sanusi urged the new leadership at the CBN to work persistently at driving down the inflation rate, which he noted had severely impacted the wealth of individuals. And to other stories now, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has registered and approved more digital money lenders, otherwise known as loan apps, bringing the list of approved companies to 211 at the end of October. The 211 companies comprise 172 that have received full approval from the Commission and 39 others with conditional approvals. As of September this year, the total number of companies that had been fully approved stood at 161, while those with conditional approvals were 40. The increase indicates that new companies are coming up to secure FCCPC's approval for the digital lending business amid the battered image of the business over incidences of harassment and defamation of borrowers by some of the lenders. And the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD, has successfully disbursed 1.023 billion naira to 7,091 pensioners from the power and transport sectors within the parastatals pensions department. According to PTAD, the payment covered 39% of the pension arrears accumulated by pensioners from August 2015 to September 2023. PTAD's investigation unveiled a payroll issue in which 7,091 pensioners in the sector were receiving insufficient payment, underscoring the need for corrective action. And Augusto & Co. has assigned an A rating to Odo Investment Company Limited, an investment and asset management firm owned by 6 governments of the western states of Nigeria. The rating agency reports that its assessment was based on the diversified portfolio of investments across key sectors which the company has undertaken. In an interview with Channels Television, the group chairman, Otumba Bimbo Ashiru, says the diversification and collaboration is the way to survive the current economic headwinds. Take a listen.
What has happened in the last 3 years, Odua has actually diversified their assets and form of income. And I'll give you a good example. We used to have the real estate business in Odua itself, in the group, and we have Wema Board. And we now realize that, look, how can we have 2 entities doing the same thing? And we decided to have a lean holdco, whereby we now moved all our real asset business from Odua to Wema Board, so that we can have this thing is now concentrated on Wema Board, and then it has helped because they now have they have their targets, the income is there and everything. So that is clear. Most companies, they get it, I mean, they don't look at that. You have to diversify your portfolio investments across different key sectors of the economy, Nigerian economy, for example. So if you are doing something and you know that, oh, you are funding your thing yourself and you don't have enough funds, there is need for you to diversify. There is need for you to get involved in joint ventures, invite other investors. We need to look at, you need to sit down and plan your strategy. Because you want to look at, oh, do I still want to be the sole owner 100% of nothing? I say, oh, let me bring investors that are going to bring in funds. You have joint ventures so that they can support the business. The business will grow astronomically, but it will grow. But the problem is, it's not even a problem. You may not have as big, as much as you want to be the real owner of the business.
And to our first conversation now, Fitch Ratings has affirmed Nigeria's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating at B- with a stable outlook, citing the reforms being implemented by the administration of President Bola Tinubu a year ago. The global rating agency a year ago lowered the country's credit score to B- from B and attributed the downgrade to continued deterioration in government debt, servicing costs, and external liquidity, despite high oil prices in 2022. This was affirmed in May this year. Let's dig deeper into this rating. Joining us now is Mr. Joe Femi Dagunro, public policy analyst, joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show. Good morning. Good morning, Laddie. So we'll see Fitch there affirming Nigeria's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating at B- with a stable outlook. So it looks like Fitch is kind of impressed with the recent reforms. Quite a positive outlook.
Yes, that's impressive, and I think it's a beginning of good things to come in the long term of it. When you have this kind of a positive rating and a stable outlook, it will ginger investors to begin to look into Nigeria, and it will promote investment generally. And the one thing is that because they are seeing positive outlooks and they are seeing structures that are being put in place. Once these are being put in place, and we can be deliberate and intentional in making sure that our policies are being followed up. Because if we look at that rating as well, they said they saw a kind of backtracking in some of these reforms, but our reforms are good. And we have to follow it through. And that is one of the good things that, excuse me, I think Cardoso has said, a new central bank governor, that is going to follow through the core mandate of Central Bank of Nigeria. If we follow through most of these things and we are transparent about it, I think the future is good for this country.
And talking about transparency, we know Fitch also raised concerns over the proposed $10 billion forex loan, which the government plans to use to, offset the forex backlogs and inject liquidity into the system. What kind of clarity do you think the government should give on this?
There's no doubt about that we need more transparency. Imagine for how many years ago that the central bank did not come up with yearly reports. So when you look at this, it is something that has to be done annually, and they've not done it for quite a number of years. So these are the kind of things, and if you want to take loan and you say you want to use this loan for a particular project, we are not seeing the clarity. Even the citizens of this country, not only Fitch Rating, a lot of all these rating agencies, Moody, S&P, and all of them, they are concerned about some of these things, that most times we take loans, it's not clear. Why are we taking this loan? Where is this loan going to be spent on? How is this loan going to benefit the citizen? And it's just about, we keep hearing about only a few people. This is a country with more than 200 million people. So who are these few people? What has been going on wrong or right? So I think people are concerned, the citizens are concerned, the market is concerned, and this has to be looked into carefully. The oversight function of the Senate, the representatives as well, the lawmakers, they have to sit up and make sure we do the right thing. We can't afford to continue to mess up the situation. We can't afford to continue to lose our credibility. And this is one thing that the reforms, people said, okay, we're all glad these reforms are coming up, but how far can we go about this reform? We see some of these things that are going on. Look at how Nigeria has been the oil industry has been badly, depleted with stealing all over the place. We have illegal refineries all over the place. We cannot even do the right thing. So with this battle going on, if we can fight it well, and it is not just telling us that you want to do this alone. Let's bring some people. Let's punish some people who are doing the wrong thing, so that it will not just be easy go, easy come. But I know that the most important thing now is not just about punishing. It's just about doing the right thing and making sure no one has the opportunity to go into such business again. And I think if central bank is straightforward in their business, doing their core business they are supposed to do, I think it will continue to give us a better rating in the future.
Right, and definitely we see the CBN governor there assuring that the CBN under his leadership will focus on price stability. Will definitely be tracking efforts with that. But with this stable outlook, from Fitch right now, what are you seeing going forward for Nigeria's credit rating if we continue at this momentum?
If we continue, you will see more investors looking towards Nigeria. Right now, we have a good chance of improving our export potentials. Look at the mining sector. The mining sector has not been well coordinated in the past. So if we begin to coordinate it better, and there's a lot of opportunity in the mining sector, a lot of opportunity in the agri sector. But the point now is this: the inflation is rising, is trending, because most people, they want to see this, not just the Fitch rating, which is positive, which is stable market. They want to see their pockets to be very stable. They want to see their kitchen having a stable rating as well, because there is hunger in the land, and a lot of things that the government needs a lot of money, no doubt about that. But we have to bring in supply. We have to consider it's supply and demand, people will say, but we have to bring in the supply of food, the supply of things that will make the people comfortable, the good health. We have to invest in that. Now we saw that even the Senate, they said, okay, listen, we will take that the yacht out of it, whatever has been planned on it. But we see there is no transparency in some of these things. Then the other day, a senator came out and said, listen, this yacht has been bought, has been delivered. And then we are saying that we're just putting in the budget, in the supplementary budget. So there must be clarity in most of these things we are doing. And we need to know, to be specific, if it is true, this thing has been delivered, why are we just putting it in the budget now? So a lot of all these things have to come out. The government has to come out clean and let the people, let the citizens understand what is going on. I tell you what, Larry, most of the citizens of this country, they don't know what is GDP. They don't know what is NPR, MPC, and all those kind of meetings with you. They just want to see that they look at, after their salary, at the end of the month, what comes into their pocket, what comes into the kitchen. They want to know the price of rice. Has it gone down? Will this thing benefit me? Who are my children? Can we eat well? Can we live well? That is what is important. And I think that's what the government too has to concentrate on. You see, the foreign exchange is an issue. And you see, if the manufacturers cannot manufacture, what do we have to benefit from it? And if the manufacturers have to manufacture and they cannot sell, what do we have to benefit from it? These are the layman's attitude, layman's language. These are the things they want to hear, and these are the things they want to understand. But going forward, it's a brighter chance for Nigeria. We have the opportunity. We are now, let me say this, people are now looking up to us and say, listen, Nigeria is a good place now. Because they see after this Supreme Court legitimacy now to say, look, the president can now go to work without so much hindrances. So now, they now want to see all this reform. How far can we put this reform? How far can we go with it? So if we come together as citizens and the government, and we are sure we want to do something good, look at what that gentleman is doing in the Ministry of Interior. A lot of things, a lot of ideas are coming up, but let us see it through, let us walk through, so that this country will be respected internationally. We have taken so much loan, not until S&P came and said, look, this is our foreign reserve, this is what we have. Let us be truthful. What do we have? And let us know how we're spending it. So this is very critical. If the rating agencies, both local or the global and the local ones, cannot see transparency in it, then we'll still have a problem to resolve in the nearest future.
Definitely, we need a lot of transparency. And talking about, the CBN governor's assurance about focusing on price stability at this time, we've seen in other climes, they've raised rates from 2022 into 2023, trying to tame inflation. And inflation has been responding, out there. But looking at our inflation rate now, 26%, what else does the MPC and the CBN, what else do they have in their arsenal, at this time to tame inflation? Because they've been raising rates since 2022 also, but we're not seeing the impact on inflation. What else is in the arsenal to try and to help defeat inflation at this time?
Even if they've been raising rates and they've been trying to make things happen, the most important thing is there's even the inflow. If we have the inflow, and the inflow is being channeled into the right places, we will see these things happening. But we don't have the track record of the inflow. We don't know how this inflow is being managed. So a lot of things has to do with management. A lot of things have to do with, how tidy we can make things work. But in the long run, if it is not just increasing the rates, it is how we manage the economy. It is how we manage everything that we have. We can increase the rate, and if you are not managing the inflow, if you are not managing the outflow, if you are not managing things rightly, it will still remain as if we have not done anything. So it is about management. It is about tracking what we have, and how do we justify the spendings of the government. You see, it's a lot of things, and that is why it is not something that we can just sit down and justify within a couple of days or a couple of months. But I know time is running out, because the people are, the slogan then is not what they are seeing, and they want to see more of the slogan that the future is brighter, but they want to begin to see the brighter future from now on. So economically, we have to grow. Economically, we have to be able to track our records. And economically, we have to be able to supply what the demands. But can we meet the demands? No, we may not be able to meet the demand. But it's a good story to hear that, the backlog of the forex and is being settled. Look at the aviation sector that was almost, turned down or bankrupt. But we're doing that now, and that is a good signal as well. So now, do we have the enough to even give our local operators? Listen, in the last few weeks, we had that Ibom Air, make their first trip to Ghana. Yes, good intention, good idea. So we need more locally and internationally as well. So if more can be done to track what we have, how we are managing it, it's about management. If we don't manage it well, if we spend unnecessarily, we will not see the effect, and we will see the inflation rising until we begin to do the right thing. We just have to do the right thing. Increasing the rate alone will not bring inflation, will not bring down inflation unless we have proper management.
All right, and last week, the supplementary budget was trending last week. The Senate speedily passed that supplementary budget, about 2.18 trillion. So looking at this speedy passage, at this time, what do you make of it? The Senate did say they did it for Nigerians, but what do you make of this speed, when it comes to the passage of this supplementary budget?
First of all, politically, you will see that it seems there's a good chemistry between the executive and the lawmakers. So that one is there. I mean, but at the end of the day, it is not just passing this supplementary budget. But the good thing is they said, listen, the student loans have to take off. We need to, jack it up maybe with some billions, and that's what we have done so that the students can start having their loan as soon as possible. Good idea. And we have removed this presidential yacht from the whole thing. Good ideas. But then the point is this: we are getting some refund. I mean, it is written as well that the looted money, or whatever, how it is being described, France is returning that money to us in billions of dollars. How are we going to spend this money? Who is going to get what ministry? We have to come clear on all these things, and that is why I keep emphasizing on transparency. And we have to fight corruption as well, because people are not interested that after some time we hear stories again of what has happened. What are we going to do with these billions if we are going to take loan? This is not a loan. This is our money. This is the money that belongs to Nigeria, and they are returning it to us. So we are not even asking them the interest on that loan. They cannot keep the money for years, and they said there's no interest on it. But they are returning the money, and we have to know, how do we spend this money? Who spends, who gets what? And these are the areas the government has to come clear. There should be a good communication between the government and the people, where we have to understand what is going on. There should be dialogue, and people have to have that freedom as well to ask and to be given the answer. You see, we have to see people, I don't think this government, people are given out, declare their assets. People have to declare their assets. People have to tell us what and what and what. There are rules. Even the bankers, the head of the banks, they have to declare their assets. Have we been doing that? Are we going to start doing that? It is a part of the structure that is being put in place. If we put a good structure in place, it will be difficult for us not to have this thing being properly monitored. But the structures have to be put in place first, whereby declare your assets and let us know. Let us know how money is being spent. Let us know how much have we brought into this country. NMPC has to come up with their own policies as well. Is it a limited liability company as they call it, or we are going into a public liability company? So if it's all these things, who are the directors? Do they direct accordingly? Who are on the boards? So how many years do they serve on the board? Who appoints them? All these things, they need answers, and they have to be clear about it, so that we know exactly there is no cause for alarm and there is future. We have to think about now and the future. So if we don't know it now, are we going to know it in the future? I bet you it might be no. So let us know it now, so that we can expect that in the nearest future, if we have a stable economy, then it will be stable for a long time and we can grow from that stability.
All right.
It's a good thing to have a stable economy.
Right, so much to unpack there. Thank you so much, Mr. Joe Femi Dagunro, public policy analyst. It was great having your perspective, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Larry.
Thank you. All right, still to come on Business Morning, we'll drill down on the drivers of Naira's recent strengthening. That was last week. That's our next conversation. Do stay with us. And the Naira staged a dramatic rally against the US dollar last week across multiple markets. For the first time since August 2023, the exchange rate dipped below the $900 to $1 mark on the peer-to-peer platform. That's the crypto market, including Binance. For the parallel market, listed exchange rates, we saw it ranging from about 1,000 Naira to 1,100 Naira to the dollar. Transactions were seen on the official front. Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market witnessed the Naira closing about encouraging 776 Naira 14 kobo, marking its strongest finish since October 13th of the current year. Let's get a sense of what drove that rally and navigate the investment landscape in Nigeria. Join us for this conversation is Mr. Kalu Aja, financial analyst. Good morning. Great to have you.
Hey, how is it going?
So did you expect that Naira would strengthen, like this last week? And it looks like currency speculators who've been betting against the Naira must be ouching, right now, in the words of the Saudi oil minister. How are you seeing it?
Yeah, but like it's just one word, supply. We've always said if there's supply in the market, right, there will be a movement in the exchange rates. And last week we saw huge supply. We saw one trade about $1 billion or so on the P2P side. Not to get too technical, but when we trade in pairs. And we did see someone come to the market and say, I want to sell dollars and buy Naira. So of course, Naira had to strengthen and dollar had to go down. Who that person was, we're not sure, right? But supply came to the market and Naira had to respond. Add to that the news that the CBN was basically paying off all the FX backlog. Add to that the fact that we just came out of PDID. We dodged that bullet in the lawsuit. So there's a lot of news coming out. And it looks to me, if you ask me, it looks like the CBN went in there to break people's legs. This is just me saying, right? To break the speculators' planning and say, hey, we can touch you in the P2P market. So we really want you guys to build up this large short position that you have. Right? We can come in there and maybe clean out your books. And they just put a warning in there. It's $1 billion, it's material, it looks institutional from the government side, but they achieved its aim. So that's where we are right now.
Would you say it's time to go long on the Naira? Is this rise sustainable?
Sadly, I don't think so, because the strength of the Naira is crude oil sales. Just it, crude oils, not even cocoa, not even oil, non-agricultural, right? It's purely crude oil sales. If you look at the exports from Nigeria, we've gone from 2.3 million barrels per day to about 1.3, 1.5 right now. So unless we see substantial and consistent exports of crude oil from Nigeria at these high prices, the Naira would not stay stable for long. They are simply because the CBN will have no forex reserve to defend the Naira. It's a floating market, but the CBN can still intervene. If the speculators know that the CBN does not have dollars, then the CBN or the Naira cannot then stay strong forever. So, but what will happen is that if they keep on doing this commando tax of going to the market and coming out, it stops people from building huge short positions. But you can't do that as a strategy for long term, right? You've got to go back to exporting and getting dollars into Nigeria. That's the only way you can ensure the Naira stays strong long term. The fundamentals, laddie, not the speculative, rather.
Right, we definitely need more inflows and less outflows of dollars at this time. But we see nowadays most media houses report the crypto P2P market, that's the peer-to-peer market, seems to have a lot of liquidity. But what would you say are the advantages and disadvantages of this P2P market?
I think the main advantage is that it's price discovery. So you go there and you get the real market price. That's the real quote-unquote willing buyer, willing seller, market-driven price. It's not the CBN price. That is the price where if I want to exchange my dollars to someone in Nigeria, I get a quote that is real market-based. So that gives you the on-the-spot market for dollar to, say, foreign currency. That's the advantage. The disadvantage is that, of course, it's outside the CBN's control. They cannot determine the price on that market. Hence, they can't control or move monetary policy in that market. So that's the two sides of looking at it. I think the CBN should sort of, if you want to kill that market, you've got to get supply. If you don't have supply, really nothing you can do, right? I'm of the view that maybe we should invite those players in that market and say, come to Nigeria, formalize your relationship with Nigeria, regulate them, let them bring supply in, possibly tax them. No, you can't control them, but at least you can oversee what you're doing, do your KYC, do your money laundering procedures, and bring them closer to the government. But if you keep them at arm's length, of course, you can't control them, and of course, things can move out of your monetary plans in effect.
And for the most of 2022, into 2023, was all about monetary policy tightening, and most investors were tilting to, risk-off sentiment back here, high inflation, currency devaluation. But we're seeing the stock markets, the local bourse, the NGX, hit a new high of 70,000 points. Does it mean it's better to just go with risk on sentiment, regardless of economic headwinds, from what we've seen, in 2022 into 2023?
I think we really have no choice in terms of if we go risk on, because inflation is so high that if you simply hold Naira or you don't take risk, you're already below the water, i.e. you're not going to make a real return. But look at the fixed income rate. The risk-free rate in Nigeria is below inflation, which means if I have funds to invest, I must take risk if I want to at least close the gap. That's what you're seeing in the stock market. The stock market now is investors are trying to use the stock market to close out their gaps in real return. Also, where else are you going to put your money, right? If you don't do fixed income and you don't do the dollar, that's the only market you have right now. That market looks a bit cheap. I mean, the Nigerian stock market, the PE ratio of the Nigerian stock exchange is lower than, say, the US or Europe, even though the currency might be different, right? So folks are saying, maybe this is a bargain. Maybe I get in now and I buy those stocks now and I ride the wave. I mean, if you bought a Transcorp, which was driven by momentum, you have made a lot of money. Well, look at what UBA delivered in their results in third quarter. So a lot of gems in that market that you can buy on the cheap now and simply hold and ride the wave until inflation comes down. Then fixed income becomes a real, should we say, quote-unquote, safe, real return. But for now, you have no choice. If you want to have a real return, you've got to take risk. It might not be in the stock market, but you've got to take risk, more or less, yeah.
And last week, we got a couple of earnings, Q3 earnings for, companies listed on the local bourse, and we're still expecting more this week. But from the results you've seen so far, what is it telling us about the Nigerian economy, even though we're seeing the NGX rallying to new highs?
It just tells that the banks seem to make a lot of money in Nigeria, irrespective of the economic situation. The banking results have been wonderful. I would say super fantastic results. Look at what UBA have done. Like I said, the GTB, the Zenith banks, they've all done very, very good. Even if the economy is not doing well, the banks tend to do well. that's a pointer to maybe policy, right? How can we go to how can we translate what the banks are doing across the sector? The banks seem to hire the best people and seem to take advantage of government policy the best. They seem to be able to react in advance of government policy. So maybe that's a lesson to other folks. You've got to hedge your exposure. If you sell wheat, you are also a trader. You can't look at it as just I'm a guy that just sells cereal. I'm a guy that just sells beer. Your treasury department in that company have got to be on top of the game. Otherwise, you lose money and you're going to negative. That's basically what we're seeing right now.
And looking at this time, consumers, investors in Nigeria are squeezed, with sky-high inflation. And there's people are trying to survive, at this time. How do you, manage or juggle investing, when the economy is so tight? How do you still go about your investments and also consumption needs, at this time? What would you say is the best advice for that, Nigerian that's trying to invest to, multiply and get more money in future, but at the same time trying to eat?
I got you. I mean, it goes back to the very simple basics. Where is your budget? Where is your emergency fund? Those basics should have been done before you got in here. You don't build the Iroko tree now. You want to build it, say, 10 years ago, they live in the shade. So you have to have a budget. It sounds very, very cliche and very, very simplistic, but if you don't know where your money is going, you'll be surprised. You might not know how to get more money. So you've got to determine where it's coming in and where it's going out of. Then you have to look for other sources of income. Again, if you have assets that you're not using, you have a house, you have a car, try to monetize it. And again, be very careful of inflation. How you avoid inflation in Nigeria is very, very easy. Don't hold the Naira, right? So if you're not going to spend the Naira in the next 3 to 6 months, you might want to diversify away from holding cash. I'm not saying you should go buy foreign currency, but holding cash exposes you to inflation. So if you hold an asset, right, you might not be exposed to inflation. I.e., if you buy a bag of rice, it's better than holding Naira cash. So get a bit understanding of money and have a budget and try to ride out the storm. It will pass, but we are in the big deep hole that we need a lot of spending to get out of.
And definitely a big storm for 2023. What are we expecting for 2024? How do you think investors should, hedge for that? If take for instance, there's another storm in 2024.
I'll tell you this way. Go back to the oil sales. Go back to the role of bandits in Nigeria. If oil starts to go out of Nigeria, it will be a good 2024. If the bandits get removed and food prices go down, that lowers inflation. It's also going to be a very, very good year. Those are the two things you have to watch: oil sales and food prices. These two things are the key economic drivers in Nigeria today. If you don't fix those two, whatever you do will not have changed anything. Inflation is simply too high. It's got to come down, and what drives inflation is food. So if you don't have cheap food in Nigeria, no economic plan would work. If you don't have oil going out of Nigeria legally to bring dollars back into the country, we don't have funds to grow the economy. Right now, we're doing forward sales. So we're eating tomorrow's lunch today. That hole that we've created has got to be filled up. If 2024 happens and we have no revenues to fill that hole, then we're in big trouble. So I'm a bit confident, but I'm again wary. I look at the supplementary budget just passed. That tells me the intent of the government. If I see your budget, I can see your intent. You have a budget that says 0 funds spent on health, just 5 billion on education, and then 5 billion on a yacht. Doesn't sound too nice, Aladi. So we've got to work faster and be more deliberate in what we want to do. I think we're moving too slow and we're not communicating what we want to do, i.e. the government. They've got to move fast, communicate, and take people along with them. That's what I'll say on that.
Right, I guess we all like that yacht lifestyle, but definitely now's not the time for that. Thank you so much, Mr. Kalu Aja, financial analyst. Thank you for sharing your money with us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
You too. All right, let's get a check on the local bourse now and fixed income markets right here in Nigeria. We have Willie Bong bringing us the details. Good to have you, Will. Good morning.
Good morning, laddie.
Yeah, fresh.
Top of the morning.
Brand
fresh,
new week.
Fresh. And we see everything is going to be, green this week. Just keep your fingers crossed.
So I should quote you on that. Green. All right.
Yes, Ladi, quote me on that. So we're just going to start off with the FX market. We did see that, drop in the parallel market. This was a good one, below 1,000 naira for people who are businesses, investors. I mean, importers and exporters alike. It is just a good thing for the market, and telling you is going to be, I think, is going to really boost investors' confidence in terms of like, okay, maybe we're getting there. Maybe that 750 naira mark for December is achievable. Possibly.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So we did see that drop and appreciation in the Naira, which is a good thing. And we did also see the FX reserves increased for the fourth consecutive week as the gross reserve level advanced by about $60 million week on week to a close at $33.4 billion. I hope we'll keep hanging on to that and not drop below it. Now, but we see the Naira, as I mentioned earlier, the Naira appreciated in the I&E window. That's the Nigerian Autonomous, forgive me, Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market, as NAFEM, by 1.8% to about 766 Naira. Now, about total turnover at the market, we see for the I&E window dropping last week it dropped about 10% to $526. That's the total transactions there. But if we look at that, that's right there on the screen too. $526.5 million dropped 10.97% in value, total value of transactions. Now let's look at the NAFEX rate. Now we see that dropping 2.86% to close at 824 naira, some 3 kobo to $1. Previously 801 naira, 15 kobo to $1. At the bonds market, we're trading bearish, still with bearish sentiments. Market players taking short positions in some instruments across the curve. But we're going to bring in Dimeji Obasa, is a fixed income dealer with Access Bank, to give us more details. Good morning, Dimeji.
Good morning, Will.
Dimeji, we're seeing this. We saw last week that the Central Bank of Nigeria is now paying off, clearing off some of the backlog for the FX backlog, and that we saw that knee-jerk reaction, if it was maybe not knee-jerk, in the parallel market. We're also seeing that appreciation in the NAFEM window. Do we see it closing any appreciating any further this week?
Yes, we are likely to see further appreciation in rates, particularly over the next 2 weeks to 1 month. It's worthy to note that the CBN only started clearing the backlog. They focused on some banks at the moment that have a lower amount of undelivered forwards that had matured. So the CBN started with those banks. They would expand that net in the coming weeks, from what we hear, and then we should see more of that backlog reduce. What that would do would mean that a lot more lines will be open, will be freed up for importers to come back into the market, into the official market. So we are likely to then see the reduction in rates in the parallel markets, where they've had to go to source for their FX to keep their business going.
Okay, so do you think the target for the federal government's target of 750 naira to $1 is becoming more realistic?
Certainly feasible. In terms of how realistic it is, only time will tell. As we move on to the next phase, which will be to clear out the backlog, we now then would have the question of sustained supply left to answer, right? If we're able to fix that problem and get in sustained supply into the FX market, then we can talk about the feasibility of the rates and where markets will find its level. But for now, I think the focus is on clearing out the FX backlog and allowing markets to sort of settle down at the levels where people are willing to trade.
So we've seen what other reactions as spurred or has been spurred as a result of this FX backlog. We're talking of the Emirates Airlines, other sectors that have actually reacted to this, maybe the fixed income space. Has there been any other reaction to this? And what are your expectations for the fixed income market as you're speaking about that?
So we've seen a significant reaction in the Eurobond market. We've had a very strong bullish run over the last 2 weeks from the announcement of the securitization of the country's dividend from LNG. we've had a significant rally in the Eurobond market. We've seen yields there decline by about 200 basis points over a 2-week period. We've also noted on the local side, what we've noted is higher rates, particularly on the shorter end of the curve. This is as a result of the CBN conducting 2 or more auctions last week, basically in a bid to make the Nigerian fixed income market more attractive for international participation. So we have seen the CBN come out, issue 2 or more auctions. We saw yields on those OMO auctions close at 17.5 and 17.98% respectively. So what that has done is to increase the rate on the shorter end of the curve down even to shorter tenured bonds. Again, that has made the Nigerian market a bit more attractive for international participation, which we hope would, we will see a lot more of in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you so much, Dimeji Obasa. We'll look forward to positive reactions or performance from the market. Dimeji Obasa is fixed income dealer, Access Bank, for sharing your insights on this program.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to other markets. We've seen the all-share index last week gaining up 4.56% for the week. That's a fantastic one for equities. We've seen the equity cap, that's the market cap, up 4.53%. Let's look at the sectors, I think. Let's move on to the sectors. We've seen that performance moving up. The market is traded a lot of volume, 8.5 million units, traded last week. Well, let's see the banking sector now. It was up 2.67%. Consumer goods was up as well, 0.47%. Almost all the sectors were in the green, except for oil and gas, which was unchanged last week. Now, you've seen, top gainers, mutual benefits. Most of those stocks that you don't really, think are, they're like dark horses in the market, but they just seem to rear their heads up, when you least expect them. So we have Airtel Africa. It's been the top player last week, leading that pack, now closing at 1,790. So someone who probably invested 10,000 naira, like say 2-3 months ago, cashing out big time at the end of last week. So it's a good one, 28.28% up. Omatech also up. Omatech is one of the stocks to look at, one of the value stocks one has to, really focus on the period. So if you're looking to make real investment, I'm not a financial advisor, but I think Omatech is one of the stocks that are coming up and is doing really well, 27.85% up. Now we've seen, let's look at the losers for last. LT Briscoe, well, didn't really do so well. Better Glassmere, all in the class of the, topping that negative, the losers chart last week. Let's look at the top trades for last week. Japol Gold was one of the stocks that, led last week's performance. It jumped really high last week. And we did see some profit taking as well. And so it's put it on the top trades list. UBA, shooting up there, over 20 naira for its share price. Really some stock to, watch there. And now Fidelity Bank also following closely behind. Let's look at NASD market. It's not doing so well. Last week it closed negative 94.03%. We're seeing that's the volume traded last week, 94.03%, 8.55 million units traded, value 120.39 million naira, down 75.52%, and this was 94.0% down actually. So that's how the market performed last week. We can't really go into all the details, right, but it's just it's like I say, it's a zero-sum game for the market. You see, exactly. You win some, you lose some, so you just have to know.
Definitely looking out for how the market plays out this week. Thank you so much, Will, for the update. All right, so that was details from the local bourse and fixed income market right here in Nigeria. Let's get a check on what's driving sentiment in London now. Juliana joins us from our London studio. Great to have you, Juliana. Good morning. So we're seeing the privatization plans for NatWest Bank seems to be looking shaky right now. Shares currently sit about £1.87, down from about £5. What are you seeing?
Good morning, Laddie. Happy New Week to you. Yeah, that's absolutely right. NatWest have been in the spotlight, but for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately, and this seems to have had a massive impact on their share price, which, as you said, has dropped significantly from when the British government acquired an 84% of the bank, which was then known as Royal Bank of Scotland, in 2008 because of the financial crisis. Now, they acquired an 84% stake. At about that time, shares were hovering at around £5. As you said, they've since come down to about £1.87, and I think one of the main reasons has got to be what's happened over the past few months with the former CEO, Alison Rose. She, of course, had to step down pretty spectacularly due to an infringement of data confidentiality, and that was because she was spilling details over a boozy lunch with a BBC journalist about former UKIP leader Nigel Farage. That was a huge discussion point in the United Kingdom about whether or not he should have a bank with Coutts. But yes, since she has stepped back, we have come out of third quarter trading season. Of course, we know British banks are quite profitable at the moment because of significantly high interest rates, but nevertheless, NatWest's investors were not too pleased, which is why we've seen such a dip. Why is this a much wider discussion? That's because the UK government still does have, I believe, about a 40% stake in NatWest, and that's not owned by them, that's owned by the British taxpayer. So, of course, at the moment, even though over the years there have been significant sell-offs of the bank's ownership with the UK government, they're obviously not getting their buck for what they paid for. The British government have released a statement this morning, and they said, look, they're not going to sell any of their shares further until the UK taxpayer can get a fair amount for their money, and they have agreed to stick with their initial plan, which is by 2026 NatWest will be fully privatised.
Right, all the banking, financial services sector having all the fun, at this time, but not NatWest. But as a brand new week, what market-moving data should we be looking forward to in the UK?
Yeah, it is a brand new week. Quite quiet at the beginning of the week. We are getting data out of retail and housing, but some of them do come at different stages depending on the agency that are delivering the information. But the big one has got to be Friday, which is GDP day. And we're expecting GDP data from the Office for National Statistics looking at September. There are concerns that there is going to be a dip in output. I think the forecast is that it's going to be about a 0.1% drop. This follows an August uplift of the economy of about 0.2%. But then, of course, remember last week, Thursday, the Monetary Policy Committee decided to hold steady on interest rates at 5.25% due to the knock-on effect high rates are having on the economy. Of course, they're doing this because they want to pull down inflation, but there are so many other headwinds that are affecting their ability to try and control interest rates in the UK. So, yes, all eyes are going to be on Friday. What is the GDP data going to tell us? Especially we're going into a very important year. Christmas, it's the quarter where retailers and the services sector and hospitality all want to reel back in their lost earnings for the year. But is there enough money in people's back pocket to be able to spend lavishly as people like to do at Christmas? We shall have to wait and see. But yeah, GDP data Friday, Laddie.
Wait and see, wait and see. Thank you so much, Juliana. I'm hoping to have a lot of cash in my back pocket for this Christmas. Thank you, Juliana, for the update.
Me too.
All right, now let's take a look at what's happening in the crypto market. They're talking about cash in the back pocket. We see investors seem to be having some fun in this market, but starting the week off in red. They're looking at the color in the market. It's Coin 360. That's what's showing us. They're mostly red. It's what we have right here from Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, BNB, but pockets of green also available for Doge. That's the meme coin king. And XRP looking pretty good there. Having a green color. OKB also in the green. Let's look at the sentiments now. It's still greed. Still a greedy market right now from last week into this week. We've seen investors still snapping up all those coins at this time. 74 points. That's what investors are showing. That's how greedy they are in this market right now. Top cryptocurrencies we track. Bitcoin this morning, $34,884, down 0.97%. Pullback this morning. Ethereum also profit taking there, $1,878. Definitely different from the $1,600 we've been used to for the past couple of months, down 0.60%. BNB holding on $243. That's the native coin for the Binance Exchange. Cardano, 34 cents, up 2.03%. We see Cardano and XRP having all the fun on the top 100 coins we track on CoinMarketCap. XRP holding up there 67 cents, trying to get above that 70-cent level, up 7.64% this morning. Let's bring in Rume Ofi now, financial market analyst. Good to have you, Rume. Good morning.
Good morning, Laddie. Good morning.
Yeah, so not so good news this morning. Almost $600,000 in Bitcoin has been stolen from users who downloaded a fake Ledger Live application on Microsoft's App Store. That's according to a cryptocurrency sleuth, that's ZachXBT. Tell us more about this, and has Microsoft come up with any form of statement about this?
Actually, in crypto, you have to be very careful with a whole lot of things you do in this industry. A whole lot is happening. Everyone is clamoring for freedom to do transactions. You also know that your security is supposed to be your prerogative. What actually happened was another app, a fake app that came up on the Microsoft App Store were linked to Ledger, and a whole lot of persons actually got their money leaving their account. So what about 16.8, about $588,000 thereabout. So the platform has been able to come to say that it is not their platform giving that live application for you to link, because what happens if you have a Ledger application is when you want to access your funds, that's a cold wallet as well, you log in into your computer, linking it to the hardware, then it gives you another application. But this very one is fake. So they are saying that the best thing to do is to go to the website of the company if you want to download, not this random thing that a lot of people are doing. So there comes in the idea of you doing your own due diligence. It's quite bad. A couple of people have actually reported it on Twitter X right now, but everyone needs to be very careful of their own security in this in industry. You can't really hold Microsoft, but again, how often can these guys do the more in-depth analysis before approving some?
Right, roommate. Definitely not easy being an investor in the crypto market. You wake up one morning and all your funds are gone. Not easy at all. Let's look at some other data now. A new report from on-chain analytics firm Glassnode shows Bitcoin appreciated about 93% against gold and some other traditional assets so far this year. What is this telling us, Rume?
It's telling us that we are waiting one of the biggest excitement, not a financial advice though, but a lot of attention is coming to crypto. There are 8 billion people in this world, so you can imagine if half of it gets into digital transactions, because the future of payment is digital. So, and young people are seeing this as opportunity to be able to liberate themselves rather than go to the conventional banking hall to do transactions. They could just do transactions from the comfort of their home. People are already seeing people do transactions, buying stuff, paying with stable coins, USDT, USDC, Bitcoin, and all of that from different parts of the world, different websites, and they're getting it shipped to them. So the attention is growing, opportunities are coming, people are building products. Everything is becoming tokenized, and if you ask me, I think it's an opportunity for people to start learning the right thing and giving themselves the best opportunity when they show up.
All right, we're looking forward to what happens in 2024. Thank you so much, Rume Ofi, financial market analyst. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laddie.
All right, so that's how the market is looking today. It's still a greedy market, talking about the cryptocurrency market, looking out for how it all plays out and this week, how the data coming out from most countries impact the market. So that's a wrap on the program today. Visit www.channelcv.com for more updates. And don't forget, join us at 1:30 on Business Incorporated for more updates and developments in the world of business. Thank you again for watching. I'm Laddie Williams. Have a profitable day.